It is such a great privilege. Such a great privilege. And everyone that is here by the good providence of God. We are so often, we measure our successes in the things we do, by people and by things. And that is the very purpose for which this conference is given, to destroy such demonic thoughts. Successes are seen in obedience to the will of God. Successes are seen in our devotion to Christ, in our love for a person. And our love for a person far exceeds in kingdom weight even our own petty obedience. We're going to learn hopefully this weekend that this is not just about keeping rules. This is not just about having power on our lives. This is not just about being able to go down a devotional checklist. But this is a heart that returns love to God because it has, of course, been loved. That's the purpose of this conference. He has sent me here this week because I'm the best one He could send for this reason. I know what you're probably thinking. My goodness, what arrogance. Let me finish. I have walked with the Lord for 22 years. As I look in the mirror of God's Word, I do not see a great deal of success on my part. I do not see a tremendous amount of growth in my life. I do not see a brilliant intellect burning like the sun, nor do I see devotion that cannot be put out. But I see in 22 years more and more of a very, very weak man. A man who would do well to hide many of his thoughts before other men because men are not quite as merciful as God. I see a man weak, a man who struggles with the rules, a man not as devoted as he ought to be. But I see and have seen in the last 22 years of my life a God that is great, that goes beyond all my weaknesses and all my failure as a minister, my failure as a husband, my failure as a father, my failure as a friend, most importantly, my failure as a son of God. In all that I look in my life, I see very little in which to glory. But when I look at God's work on my behalf, I see much to glory in. We are a people who, for some reason, we have not learned very much from Israel. We seem to be a people who always desires to glory in men. And we as ministers should be the first to cut that weed before it can grow. How many of us grew up under ministries where they might not have communicated it directly, but it was communicated to us as young men? If you can reach the spiritual level unto which I have reached, God will use you. We would look at men as younger men and we would think, what is the key in their life? What is the secret? What is the thing they're doing, I'm not doing, that makes them so great? All of that is fleshly, earthly, and demonic. In this short introduction that I am giving, I want you to understand something that most of you probably know better than I. There never has been, nor will there ever be, a great man of God. And if you use that terminology, I already understand that there's something terribly wrong with your theology. There has never been a great man of God. Just weak, pitiful, faithless, blind men of a great and merciful God. When we begin to address this seriously, and we begin to see our own weakness, and we begin to see His power, and His faithfulness and His covenant keeping, then we can be somewhat usable in the kingdom.